Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, April 19th, 2020. How dare Victor finally get around to telling Nikki the whole truth and nothing but the truth about AJ Montalvo's death, but then he leaves us out of the loop. I wanted to know the secret. We've been with Victor through thick and thin. We've been with Victor even when Nikki wasn't. And he thinks that he can't trust us, the audience, with the secret? Oh, so the secret remains still a secret. And my favorite part about the whole thing was when Victor said to Nikki, "Okay, I'll tell you everything." Cut to commercial, cut back from commercial, and it's just a close-up of Nikki's face with her mouth hanging wide open, and she turns around and kind of staggers toward Victor. And she says to him, "I don't know what I was expecting you to say, but it wasn't that." Not that. I mean, that whole part about the horse and the spaghetti, I was not expecting you to say that. What could it be? I want to know more than ever. What could have happened that put that look on Nikki's face? Oh, earlier in the week, Victor decided to go for a horseback ride, and when he returned, we saw him have a flashback of AJ lying dead on the barn floor. He was lying there dead from multiple angles. AJ was dead from the top, from the side, from close up, from far away. There was so much dead on that guy. He was definitely dead. And I am starting to side with the Y&R chatters who theorized weeks ago and predicted that the person who killed AJ Montalvo was none other than the current reigning CEO of Newman Enterprises himself, Adam. Okay, first of all, my first kind of clue that's making me think this is Victor made a comment to Nick about the whole situation, saying, "I'm protecting my family. You know that I would give my life to protect you and your sister." And when Victor said that, that made me think that Victor thinks that he is protecting Adam the way that he would protect his other two children. Also, Victor's mild reaction to seeing that Adam had taken his portrait down off the wall in the office, that told me everything else I needed to know. Victor said to Adam, "You don't know how to create something. You only know how to destroy and steal." And I thought to myself, you don't know how to create something. You only know how to destroy. That makes me wonder if Victor is protecting Adam from the truth about himself. Maybe Adam was a troubled child. Maybe Adam walked in on something that he wasn't supposed to see. Maybe AJ was hurting Hope. Or maybe he just sensed that AJ was threatening his mother, and so bam, down from a barn loft he goes. I kind of enjoy the idea of Adam as a junior villain, like a villain in training. Because Connor was kind of on that path, wasn't he? And Connor is all of a sudden being mentioned quite a lot this week, isn't he? There are a lot of people talking about the example that Adam and Chelsea are setting for Connor. It just kind of makes me wonder. I think Adam is, though, doing a very good job currently of fulfilling the Weasley villain role. Adam bought a bottle of Victor's favorite tequila when he met Victor at the office, asked Victor if he wanted to have a glass while they talked about how to transition the company over to him. And when Victor said no, Adam just walked around and drank Victor's favorite brand of tequila all himself. I just think that Adam seems to be consciously soaking in what he thinks is the Victor Newman take no prisoners lifestyle and attitude. But wasn't that a gripping moment when Victor just looked at Adam and said, "I just realized that you don't know me at all." And that was the end of the scene. That was so good. So good. See, I think that Victor is going to come out of all of this looking like a father who was trying to protect his family. And Adam and Chelsea are both going to come out of this looking like crooks. All week, Chelsea had a cat who just ate the canary smile on her face, even bigger than Adam's. Chelsea was seeming more pleased with herself than Adam was. She was practically glowing when she stopped by Newman Enterprises to congratulate Adam on his first day as the new CEO. And you know, I disagree strongly with Chelsea's life choices right now, but her fashion choices are always on point. That sheer brick red top that she had on underneath the like reddish brown leather jumper thing, that whole outfit was stunning. I mean, Chelsea's being a bad girl, but she's looking good throughout the whole thing. Yeah, she always looks good in red and brown. Like, red and brown are Chelsea's colors. Those are her colors. I hope that she is designing duds like that for her new fashion line. Chelsea told Chloe all about Adam's new title, which was soon to be announced. And Chloe was just in the process of trying to muster up some happiness for Chelsea when Phyllis came along. And Phyllis was all too happy to throw stones at Chelsea and also to rub her new relationship with Nick in Chelsea's face. The thing that I really liked about the argument between Phyllis and Chelsea was that Phyllis was the first to imply that Adam and Chelsea might actually end up in jail at the end of this for whatever scam it is that they're currently pulling with, Victor. At this point, Phyllis doesn't know the details, but she implied that whatever they're doing, it's probably criminal. And would they really want to go to jail and leave their child without parents? And Chelsea seemed to hear Phyllis's warnings because Chelsea looked a little afraid coming out of that conversation. It seemed like it struck a nerve. It gave her pause. But the other thing I also liked about that confrontation was how Chelsea stood up from the table and looked like she was about to start a brawl with Phyllis right there in the middle of the restaurant. And I just kept thinking, ooh, wouldn't that be fun? Like, Phyllis and Chelsea just getting ready to brawl at each other with this very pregnant Chloe running referee right between them. Oh, that would have been bad. Bad but good. Well, after Phyllis had that run-in with Chelsea, Nick had a similar run-in. Nick finally got filled in on the news about Adam and Newman Enterprises. I mean, he left that job yesterday, and now today there's a takeover. So, Nick made it a point to march right down to Newman Enterprises to confront Adam in his new office. And, of course, Chelsea was there. So Nick started laying into both of them. And while Adam seems to have nerves of steel when it comes to dealing with the Newman family, he's been here, done this before, Chelsea looked a little shook by what Nick was saying. And in that argument, Nick was, like Phyllis, saying, you know, do you really want to be setting this example for Connor? Victoria worked her way up from the mailroom to become the CEO of this company, and Daddy got it through blackmail. So it was another conversation that just really seemed to strike a nerve with Chelsea. So I'm curious to know where her head is going to be at next week. Everybody seems to want to blame Chelsea and Adam, and I do too. Ultimately, though, I mean, there's really only one person who has any control over this outcome, and it's Victor. I mean, Victor is allowing Adam to do this and get away with it, whatever the reasons are. Adam called a press conference this week to announce his world domination. I mean, new CEO title. I mean, the way Adam was sitting there with his evil grin, wearing his black suit, black shirt, black tie. If I was one of the regular old Genoa City citizens, like one of the extras in the background, and I was living in this town, and I flipped on my TV one afternoon, and I saw Adam coming on my screen with that breaking news alert, I honestly would have thought that this was some kind of brand new supervillain announcing his plot to take over the city. Do you think that there were actually some Genoa City extras who were just quietly sitting on their couches watching their afternoon soap operas when the news broke in for Adam's interview that day? And were they as angry as I get when my soap operas get preempted for breaking news? I mean, let's discuss. Do you guys think that there are soap operas in Genoa City? And wouldn't it be a mega meta moment if one of our characters actually mentioned watching a soap opera? Or better yet, what if there was this whole subplot of a soap opera being aired on TV in Genoa City, and then they could even use our actors to show us this soap within a soap. I mean, you could use our same actors, dress them differently, maybe even give them totally different characters with totally different personalities, and they could be telling us a story within a story. Kind of like how Tracy's detective novel with Kane was. Ooh, that would be so clever. We could kind of like flash into this alternate world inside of our alternate world, and we could see the lights and the camera and the director and the in-between scenes using our regular actors. Even if it was just for a couple of weeks, that would be amazing. A soap within a soap. Wouldn't that be trippy? Phyllis and Nick, although I love them, they sure do seem to have a lot of baggage for two people who are trying to start fresh. There is a lot of insecurity with Phyllis, always. It really doesn't matter who she's with. But I'm glad that Phyllis and Nick were able to talk it up, patch it up this week. Talk it out, patch it up this week. I mean, they've had that same conversation a couple of times, and still the insecurity with Phyllis is there. I don't know. I love them. I'm glad they're together. I'm glad that Phyllis finally got to have sex in her own shower. I mean, Abby and Chance got to have sex in Phyllis's shower before she even got to have sex in her own shower. I don't think that was right. So we corrected that this week. And, you know, when Nick is with Phyllis, or, you know, with anybody that I kind of approve of, he hits the sweet spot for me. I think that Josh Morrow is a really nice, solid, romantic lead. I like him. I love to love him. But he just doesn't pull off man with a plan to me. Like, I love to love him. But even in the scene with Victor on Thursday, I guess it was, where Nick was threatening to go rogue to deal with the Adam situation, since Victor was leaving Nick out of the loop and keeping the whole thing a secret, I just sure hope that nobody in Genoa City is holding their breath, waiting for Nick to be the one to come up with the winning strategy here. Just saying. Oh, I think that Nick's boyish, kind of frat boyish charm, I think that's his strength. That's where I like to see him. It really works for me. And then, you know, throw in the occasional haul off and punch someone, of course. That's all. He does that well, too. I mean, frankly, now that I think about it, I can't believe that Adam isn't walking around this week in a black suit, a black tie, and a black eye. Phyllis was so close to scoring a victory for the Newman family here, which was a sentence I would not have expected to say a year ago. Phyllis wanting to help the Newman family? Yeah, no. But she was close. In fact, Phyllis was so close, I think she could almost taste it, and that made it hurt all the more. Phyllis thought that she was just going to run down to her bank safe deposit box, pull out that thumb drive that had Chance and Adam's incriminating Las Vegas conversation on it. She was going to hand that thumb drive right on over to Nick and save the day and be the hero. To be honest with you, I almost forgot all about the thumb drive and the Vegas conversation and the info that Phyllis had on Adam. I nearly erased it from my mind. I cannot believe that Y&R waited a month to follow up on Abby's impersonation thing. Or can I believe it? Actually, I can believe it. I can believe that they waited that long. And it dropped completely off my radar. And they just picked it up out of the blue. I don't know. I guess I assumed that Abby and Chance only thought that they got away with impersonating Phyllis and stealing the flash drive. Or at the very least, that Phyllis had another copy. A cloud copy or something. You know, if Y&R wants us to accept that sexy Phyllis is the sexiest security tech expert on the planet, slinking around, sexing and securitying, she's sexy hacking. If they want me to believe that Phyllis is just sexy hacking the planet, then they should at least kind of make it believable and realistic. There's just no way that Phyllis wouldn't have had a cloud copy, another copy, a digital copy, stored remotely. She did not go to all that trouble just to have two copies? No. But apparently it was. In terms of the story, it was. The drive is gone. Phyllis was not successful in retrieving it, but she was successful in making Abby paranoid that the fact that Abby stole and destroyed that copy was really just her shooting herself and her family in the foot because Phyllis intended to give it to Nick to save everyone from Adam's villainy. Well, first of all, that wasn't Phyllis's plan until about a day ago. And second, that evidence wouldn't have just incriminated Adam, it would have incriminated Chance too. So you better believe that Chance destroyed it. If he's smart anyway, he would have destroyed it. And honestly, I think it was a little unfair, maybe a lot unfair, for Abby to turn around and ask Chance to entrap Adam into another incriminating conversation so that she could then use that to help her family. Why would Chance do that to Adam, somebody he has fought to protect? But more importantly, why would Chance do that to himself? They were partners in this crime together. I don't know. I think Abby needs to stay out of it. Not one single person in the Newman family has even talked to her about what's going on with Adam. Not Victor, not Victoria, not Nick, not Adam, nobody. So obviously, the Newman family, her family, does not want her help. So why would she want to stick her neck out and her boyfriend's neck out to help them? Let the chips fall where they may. I mean, this whole thing is between Victor and Adam, and although, yes, to a lesser but still important extent, it is about Victoria, too. Adam must have really done a number on Alyssa, because Alyssa didn't think twice about gobbling up Victoria's side of the story when Victoria said everything she said to her. I mean, Victoria's argument must have been so compelling and must have made complete sense to Alyssa immediately, because Alyssa just jumped right on board to become a very powerful ally for Victoria. Yes, when the powerless become powerful. I love that type of story. Alyssa was duped by Adam and then cast aside like nothing. She handed him all of her power unknowingly when she handed him her story and the supporting documents and signed an NDA, apparently. She kind of screwed herself, I guess. But now here she is, ready to partner up with Victoria for phase 2 of the plan, which does indeed seem to include publishing a tell-all story of her own. Victoria already has Billy all lined up. Billy is empathetic and even angry about Victoria being sidelined at Newman Enterprises. So he's going to be more than willing to use his new media outlet to bury Victor and Adam. Or Victor or Adam or both. Let's play Love Connection. This week's poll question: who do you think would make the best love connection for Amanda right now? Would it be Billy behind door number 1 or screen number 1? Would it be Nate, screen number 2? Or would it be Devon, screen number 3? Those are the current contestants. Billy, Nate, or Devon. Who do you think would make the best love connection for Amanda right now? Not 6 months down the line. Right now, who do you want to see Amanda with? Because she's got some options. She's the new girl in town. She's got a few options. I vote Nate right now. I think Nate is hot. I think Amanda is hot. So when these two came together for their first kiss, I almost had a meltdown. I loved it. But even more important than all the hotness, I really feel like after seeing Nate and Amanda's first date, I know them both a little better. I mean, this version of Nate has been on the show for a year now. With this actor, it's been nearly a year now, and I feel like I learned more about Nate in that one conversation first date with Amanda, than I've learned about him in the entire past year. Them just having drinks at the bar, talking about their favorite foods and music. Those are the really seemingly small details that really help round out a character for me. I mean, I never thought about it before because all kids in soap world go to boarding school. But now I'm trying to imagine Nate in his fancy London boarding school, maybe wearing a little suit uniform, maybe with some shorts and some high socks. And I don't know why, but that idea just makes him more human to me. And Amanda talking about her whole life being spent in foster care, and it was just her way of life. It was so normal that she didn't know any different. She didn't know, she just that was just her life. Just something about that helped me fill in some blanks. Yeah, Amanda never even questioned anything about her parents that she obviously shared with Hillary. Never questioned it. Not even once. It was just her way of life, foster care. And she's probably never going to question it until Devon ends up uncovering the truth about Hillary's long-lost twin sister. Maybe that will be coming down the pike sometime, at this rate, in the year 2022. We'll find out about the Hillary-Amanda twin twist. Wouldn't that figure, though? Wouldn't it figure if Y&R was laying the groundwork to twist that twist right now? Like, right as the stars are aligning and I'm really starting to sink into the Amanda and Nate chemistry, are they now going to bust out the Amanda and Hillary twin twist, and then now Devon's going to finally fall in love with her? Lily has the idea that power communications, Chancellor Communications, is going to need a lawyer now. And Lily decides to feel Amanda out for the job. And Amanda was definitely not ready to jump on board. Amanda knows that her friendship with Billy was more than just a friendship. So Amanda suggests that maybe Lily should run the idea by Billy first. In the moment that Lily mentioned it to Billy, you could see him slip into a 50-yard stare. I think that he did not want to admit that it would not be comfortable for him. Just the night before, Billy ran out to society to grab a bite to eat. Hey, remember that? Going to restaurants? Aww. Well, Billy took one look at Amanda and Nate on their date. He saw and beheld the Amanda-Nate date, and he decided that he was not hungry anymore. He turned around and left. And now, here Lily is suggesting that maybe Billy should work with Amanda on a regular basis, and he ultimately agrees to it. So, Amanda then gets the immediate phone call from Lily to reinforce the job offer and to let Amanda know that Billy is okay with it. And Amanda had this look on her face like she was not really wanting to do it. Like she was sort of disappointed that the job offer might actually be on the table. Amanda told Lily that she needed to have some time to think about it. She hung up the phone, she looked over slightly to her left, and who is sitting on the Crimson Lights patio together but Billy and Victoria? And then Amanda did the exact same thing that Billy did earlier. She turned around and got the heck out of there. So these two are kinda avoiding each other. Why would they agree to work together now? In the previews for next week, it's looking like Amanda is trying to negotiate her salary for the job directly with Billy. I just don't get it. Why would they both agree to a mutually uncomfortable situation when there are other lawyers and other jobs on the table? Things might actually be less awkward with Amanda working at New Hope. I think she might actually have a less awkward time working with her brand new boyfriend than with her old, weird circumstances kind of boyfriend. I don't know. I guess it could get sticky with Amanda working at New Hope too, because she and Nate are just getting started. But I think I'd rather see Amanda take the New Hope job, especially because, look, if Lily and Amanda and Tracy and Billy are all working together at Chancellor, then you know it's just going to be the Billy show with 3 women taking turns holding his leash. I need to develop some respect for Billy, not just now watch his harem. His leash holding harem. I'm also starting to get a little nervous that Y&R could be setting up a Billy, Lily, Amanda love triangle, which I don't want. I want Amanda with Nate. And if Lily and Billy are going to hook up, then Y&R is definitely going to have to give me some more reasons to want it. I don't know. I mean, I can't say I want it yet, but I would say that the writing is probably on the wall with that one. No need to peel back the wallpaper to see it. Billy is a negatively charged particle, and Lily is a positively charged particle, and they're just realizing that opposites attract. In business, I mean, I don't know if that will carry over into a personal relationship. Sometimes it does. Only time will tell. I mean, I did really enjoy the putt-putt scene in Lily's office. Lily is just trying to get some work done at the desk, and Billy is putting golf balls into a drinking glass on the floor. They're just 2 totally different personalities, 2 totally different work styles, and yet somehow that definitely was complimenting of one another. It was an entertaining dynamic between them. And I also really loved the subtle, suggestive moment, which again, Y&R is phenomenal right now at creating these subtle, suggestive moments, but Lily picks up 2 of Billy's golf balls from the floor, not 1 but 2, and she holds them in her hand just so while she's giving him a lecture. That is brilliant. It's brilliant, and it's exactly up my alley. It's totally my type of humor, and it's on the nose too. Billy always has to have someone right there to keep a tight grip on his golf balls. That's how he likes it. It was the same dynamic with Victoria. Victoria was the strict school marm dominatrix, and he was the bad little boy who needed punishing. He just has someone new to do it now. Sharon's cancer story has been almost completely about her emotional journey. Everyone who has said it week after week about Sharon not having any discernible physical signs of the breast cancer is completely right. This story is about her emotional stages, and that seems to be all at this point. Sharon has fought, though, to maintain her life as she knows it from the very first day that she found out that she had breast cancer. She didn't want anyone to make a fuss over her, and I think she still is just not wanting to feel like she is a bother to anyone. Sharon wants to be able to feel valuable still. She wants to know that she's still got it in her leather pants, which, yes, she had on again this week, tan leather pants. She loves tan leather pants. And she looks amazing in them. Sharon can do it all in leather pants. She can cook a meal. She can fill the sugar shakers. She can arrange the flower vases. You know? Jack stopped by the coffee house this week after Sharon had the struggle with Mariah over the flowers. And Sharon didn't really even seem to want to talk to Jack. I think Sharon is just tired of talking. She's tired of being the focus. So Jack instead decided to talk more to Nick, who showed up. And Jack started talking to Nick about Sharon. Jack kind of pulled Nick away when Nick was kind of trying to dump some news about Adam and how he was feeling about it, Jack kind of scooted Nick off to the patio, talked about Sharon, but also talked about Adam. And that got me thinking, why doesn't Jack check in with Adam? I know Jack's got a lot going on, and maybe Adam's whole everything is just too much negativity for Jack right now, but I also think that Adam needs a friend. And if Chelsea is not going to be that balancing force in Adam's life, then maybe someone like Jack could step it up and help Adam soften those edges. I mean, at this point, I think Adam's edges need to be softened, but it needs to be by anyone other than Sharon. This week, Ray arranged this very romantic faux beach dinner for Sharon at the Grand Phoenix, and part of the goal was to keep Sharon away from the news and the drama surrounding Adam and the Newman family and the CEO position. And I just thought to myself, give me a break, as if Sharon gives a crap about who the new CEO of Newman Enterprises is going to be when she's preparing for breast cancer surgery in a couple of days. It was a really nice setup, though, in the room. Ray is so romantic. He is like the perfect man. Setting up this special moment for them. He had some tropical beach themes in the room. He had, like, the menu was beach themed. The centerpiece was beach themed. It was nicely lit in there. He had some ocean waves going and a sound machine in the background. Ray said that Phyllis arranged for the whole setup. Phyllis is being quite a lovely grande dame of the Grand Phoenix Hotel. And you know what else? It occurred to me this week that the Grand Phoenix Hotel is currently kind of like the Colonnade Room was back in the day, where it's like the place where everybody's going for their special events. And with a hotel, you can feasibly set up different, smaller, separate rooms so that more events can be going on at once. Like how Sharon and Ray were having their beach dinner at the same time that Tracy was kicking back with a shaker of Cosmopolitans, her white fuzzy slippers on her feet, a massage, and a good book. I am so obsessed with Tracy right now. Is there even anyone on this show who deserves a wonderful night of relaxation more than Tracy Abbott? I don't think so. I can't even tell you how enthralled and happy I was just watching her sitting on that couch. Just being pleased, just feeling good and wearing her, kicking back her little white fuzzy slippers. It was adorable. And I hope that Sven, the Grand Phoenix's and Genoa City's very best masseuse, Sven, I hope he gave Tracy the full workover, and I do mean the full workover. Oh no! Lola has to leave town right as the epic Jabot rebranding battle is coming to a head? It is literally the night before the pitch meeting, I think? And Theo is getting into his own head. Like, the guy who normally has 1,000 ideas a minute, like he's an infomercial pitch man, he's scribbling everything out on his notepad, and now his head cheerleader, Lola, has to leave town to put out some fire at her new restaurant, the restaurant that we will never see, but which gives her convenient excuses to scoot off the canvas as needed. Now Lola's gone, and then Mariah and Tessa, aka Taraya, they tag team it, and they give Theo like this double workover to really pummel his confidence. I mean, they were mean. Although I guess, you know, to be fair, Theo was asking for trouble and he got it. But Theo is down and he's desperate. And so he asks Kyle's assistant to go ahead and do some spying for him. But this girl is subtle as a brick. Summer and Kyle are having this brainstorming session in the boardroom, and the girl walks in the door and says, "Oh, Kyle and Summer, I'm so sorry I interrupted your important business brainstorming session. I thought you might like me to pour you another glass of water." What is she, the waitress? Leave the pitcher on the table and get back to work, Kendra. Summer saw through the whole thing and decided that on this very important evening where time is of the essence and they really need to be working on this pitch for tomorrow, maybe they should just take a little side jaunt to set a trap for Theo and teach him a lesson. So they sit there and start typing up some text that they're going to store on a shared server. And then Summer does this brilliant move. She goes, Oh, Kendra! Can you come here a minute? Oh, okay. Well, hi. Well, okay, Kyle. All of those important things that we just discussed, I stored all of that on my shared drive. It's on my computer right there. So all of the important stuff we just talked about, it's right there. Okay, I'll just leave my computer right there. Bye now. And of course, the assistant takes the bait, and of course she's passing it along to Theo. And as much as I hate to say it, I think Theo's gonna take the cheese. With Lola out of town and him feeling kind of down and out, I don't know. Lola was the one that was giving him all of his confidence and his support right now. I just think that he's gonna have a moment of weakness, and I'm afraid he's gonna walk right into the trap. I don't know if he's going to make it to the pitch meeting, though, because in the previews for next week, Kyle is announcing to Theo that he's fired. Well, I guess that's one way to get rid of the competition, but I'm not sure how Jack is going to feel about that. October 2nd, 1991. TV used to be way weirder. way weirder. I had a blast watching the Masquerade Ball on Friday, but I'm also glad that this episode was not my first introduction to the show, because if this would have been the first episode that I would have ever watched of The Young and the Restless, I don't think I would have stuck with it. I think they might have lost me at Wolfman. I think they might have lost me when Wolfman number 1 shot Wolfman number 2. But that's just me. Oh, good old Danny Romalotti was Wolfman number 1. He seemed like he was having a great time. He was having a ball. Get it? He was making jokes. He had the lovely Miss Marilyn Monroe, Holly Hollywood, on his arm. What was up with that? Was it a copyright thing? I don't know, but Christine was really embodying the Marilyn Monroe fantasy. She had all of the moves. She did a pretty darn good impression. She looked great. And did you see Danny? Even though you didn't see his face at the ball, did you see Danny in the opening credits with that mullet blowing in the wind while he's flying in at you while rocking out on the microphone? Yeah. That was incredible. Incredible. But David Kimball was Wolfman number 2. David Kimball. What a sicko. I mean, what a real sicko. That guy was dead before I started watching the show, but he was notorious. He married Nina. He was actually planning to kill Nina and her son, Chance, so that he could get his hands on the Chancellor fortune. He also threatened to cut Christine's face. He framed Danny for cocaine possession. He had plastic surgery, trying to get the plastic surgeon to make him look like David Hasselhoff. But the surgeon instead decided to carve the word killer into his forehead. Oh, this guy was bad. It was bad and gruesome. He was actually in disguise at that Masquerade Ball, intending to kill not only Danny, but Christine and Nina too. But apparently the character Diane, it's not Diane Jenkins. I don't know who Diane was. She was sitting at the table with John and Ashley, maybe, I don't know, John and Leanna, maybe at a point. Diane, she was one of the only people that I couldn't put my finger on who it was there. But apparently she was the character who replaced the bullets in David's gun with fake bullets. So, when you saw Danny get shot, he was just faking getting shot. And everybody else, like David, went ahead and gunned down with Cricket and Nina, I think. There was some epic showdown in a maze, which sounds amazing. I wish we would have seen that. But he guns them down one by one, and it's revealed later that the bullets in the gun were fake. The police and Paul, in a flash, chased David down, and David apparently decided to hide from Paul and the police in a garbage chute, and then David got crushed by the garbage compactor. Hid in a garbage chute, got crushed to death by the trash compactor. Wow. I'll say it again. TV used to be way weirder. The wolf costumes were really great, though. Those prosthetics held up. They must have looked good then, and they looked good today on the rebroadcast. I think that this had to have been a very expensive production. I mean, was it the Colonnade Room? Somebody tell me if was the setting in the Colonnade Room. I don't know. Nobody answered my trivia question about the woman in the portrait above Victor's fireplace at the penthouse last week. Or if you answered it, I didn't see it. Go to yrchat.com if you know the answer to that little trivia question. And to follow up, was this at the Colonnade Room? I think that it was. It looked lovely, though. I mean, the whole place was decorated. It was lit. They had a stage. They had a disco ball and everything. It was amazing. The costumes, the makeup. There was there was some plot action, but outside of the shooting, it was a lot of time being taken up with just looking at the costumes and having some entertainment. It was definitely a party. Should we do a round of best and worst dressed? Is anyone up for a costume ball, best and worst dress? I mean, there were so many notables. It would be hard for me to pick just one, but I think it would be hard pressed to pick anyone who to me looked better than Cleopatra Jill. I mean, Jill was not only the best dressed, she was barely dressed, but she was dripping in jewels. And that headpiece was probably very heavy and very annoying to wear. So I got to give her points for that. I bet the bra, too, was very heavy to wear. But her body looked so tan and so fit. And if you got a close-up look of the Cleopatra makeup, it was multicolored and sparkly and just gorgeous. And plus, I've, got to give it to a girl who knows how to make an entrance. I mean, she had props. And by props, I mean two scantily clad dudes showing up right behind her. It's too bad they didn't actually carry her in. That's the only thing that would have made it better. And then she had also Jack tagging along behind. She had her whole own... Everybody else got introduced as a couple, no matter if they were even a couple or not. But Jill had her whole own entrance, and then Jack comes tagging along behind. I mean, the look on his face as he totally skipped his entrance. I mean, the DJ DJ is not the word, the MC, he introduced everybody and they had their moment and they paused, but Jack just like skipped right down the stairs. He rushed. He did not want to be introduced anywhere around Jill. Seemed like he didn't really even want to be there. Oh, I don't even know why he was there with Jill. He didn't seem to want to be. And how is it possible that that in 1991, Jack and Jill were making headlines showing up to that ball together when everybody thought they should, that it was shameful, they shouldn't show up together after the affair and everything. So how is it that in 91, the scandalous names on everybody's lips was Jack and Jill, and then here we are in 2020 asking ourselves whether or not Jack and Jill would be a good romantic match today. Now, I'm a little sorry to report that the consensus of Y&R chatters believe that no, Jack and Jill would just not be a right match. It was 53% though. I mean, it was a pretty close vote. 47% of you gave Jack and Jill a thumbs up. So the majority of Y&R chatters think that Jack is not Jill's Prince Charming. But how would you feel if Jack were wearing a white scarf draped around his neck in that scene? Would that change your opinion? If Prince Charming and his jacket, the beautiful detailed jacket that he had on, how would it change your opinion if he also had a white scarf draped around it? That's my question. I can't help it. I'm just looking at Jack. Look at 1990s Jack. 2 years in a row. And I keep getting reminded that Jack was Kyle. And Kyle was him. That they're just a couple of twerps. There's a couple of Abbott twerp boys. I just cannot imagine a better cast of Jack's son than Michael Mealor. I mean, I know that I'm hard on that character a lot, but just even seeing 1990s Jack for just the 2 weeks in a row, it makes me really appreciate our current Kyle, because even though he's made a lot of bad decisions, I think that the actor is filling the role that he's meant to play perfectly. Oh, but a worse dressed. You know, the costume wasn't bad, but I cannot stand Leanna Love. I don't know what it is about her. I have always just wanted to flick her away like she was a fly on my shoulder or something. I've always felt that way. I don't like her. I don't know what George Washington John Abbott was doing with her. Does anybody else feel that way? Does anybody else really not like Leanna Love? I can't put my finger on what it is. She's annoying. She's just, ugh. She grates on me for some reason. So I loved watching Jill give Leanna the evil eyes all night. And, of course, I loved seeing Catherine giving Jill all of that shade. The scene in the dressing room, it was just so classic and so perfect. And Catherine, by the way, was not to be outdone in her costume. She looked great. She was dripping in jewels. And on a side note, the intro for this episode where Catherine is just sitting down getting a diamond necklace placed right around her neck. I mean, yes, please. Just place that diamond necklace right around my neck and then be gone with you. It was great. It was just so great. And Catherine just had this really delightfully nasty way of cutting Jill down. It was just so entertaining to watch. And the way that Jill stands there, just kind of closing her eyes and then giving this deep breath. It's very classic of Jill. Yes, this feud is legendary for a reason. Yeah, and I mean, you can side either way. It was so good. Oh, but in other, potentially best dressed news, I mean, I'm obsessed with Tracy right now. She was looking beautiful at the ball. And I think it was very telling that she was dressed as Mae West, because I got that vibe. I got a Mae West vibe from her during those black and white detective scenes that she did with Kane. I just bet that Beth Maitland loves Mae West. And I think her temperament is maybe a little bit sweeter, but I have a feeling. I wonder if everybody got input on what type of costume they might like to have, because overall it did seem like the costume fit the character, and people did a really good job of embodying their characters. I thought that Tracy just looked great. She had Brad eating out of the palm of her hand, didn't she? I mean, People Magazine's one of People Magazine's 50 most beautiful people, I think it was the year 1990, just the year before, Brad Carlton, aka Don Diamant, aka Zorro. She had him eating out of the palm of her hand. So good. I think Tracy must have just discovered that she was pregnant at that party, because that was October 1991, and I think that their daughter, Colleen Carlton, was born the following March of 1992. John's My Beauty, Ashley, was very appropriately giving me the I Dream of Jeannie, Barbara Eden vibe. That was a spot-on costume choice for her. And, of course, Victor as the Spartan. I loved Jack's jab when he saw what Victor was wearing and said, yeah, he probably wears something like that to bed. Yeah, that totally works. I mean, Victor is this Colossus, and Jack is thinking he's the Prince Charming. That was great. Where was Nikki, by the way? Jack was married to Nikki then? Was this something to do with her pregnancy? Had she just discovered her pregnancy or something? If anybody knows where Nikki was, please tell me, because, what would her costume have been? I'd love to get some feedback on what you think Nikki's costume would have, should have been. And also, she could have been there to have kept an eye on what was going on with Victoria. I was really taken with young Heather Tom as Victoria and Ryan. I mean, they were the little Romeo and Juliet of their time. How self-aware of them to pick those costumes, the forbidden lovers. Except that Ryan wasn't from a warring family. He just wasn't well-bred enough. How annoying. You know, I mean, Victor had a date and a costume already picked out for Victoria to wear to the ball. Ugh. I mean, Victoria has, I think, been her life. It makes me empathize with Victoria. I think Victor has been trying to control Victoria's life from the moment that she started her life, and this was a really good example of it. And yet she still craves his approval today. It's so weird. But, yes, Brian McNeil was such a little cutie. They killed him off in 2001. But he was best friends with Neil. I do believe that's my recollection anyway. And it's so hard to just not love Neil in that curly wig. Oh, what was going on with him there? Olivia was married to Nate at the time, who I always forget. I always forget about Nate Hastings Sr. because by the time I came along, Kong had been recast and he was turned into this real scumbag character, and then they just killed him off. So I never really got to firsthand experience the great parts of Nathan Hastings Sr. But he had mentored Drusilla. That's probably why they were showing up at the party together. He had taught her how to read, which is actually a really wonderful storyline in retrospect, and to think also about how far we've come. I mean, adult literacy rates in the US are something like 99% now. So Drusilla made this very phenomenal example of someone who became self-made. And that scene with Neil and Victor was also kind of significant because this is Drusilla trying to improve upon her communication skills when she was, kind of saying that funny line about it. I don't know, she said it was a splendid event or something, this was her trying to improve her communication skills in talking to Victor. So, let's see, 91, Neil would have been fairly new in town. at the time. I think his character was introduced in 91, something like that. So this had to have been right as Neil was just kind of coming up on the show, and he was interested in Olivia. But he was soon wooed by Drusilla, as we saw last week, and she looked great with that red feather headpiece, by the way. Lauren had some nice feather headpiece coming out of her wig, too. That Marie Antoinette wig was large. It was great. I mean, she looked great. Lauren was there with Paul as the Flash, and they were both looking real suspicious of Sheila, as they should. Sheila looked really great in the cat costume. I almost didn't recognize her. She just looked really sexy. I was into it. Sheila hadn't been around very long at the time of the Masquerade Ball. The Masquerade Ball was 91, and Sheila was introduced onto the show in 1990. So I'm going to guess, and this is just a guess, but I think that this cat Sheila that we were seeing was in the time and space when Sheila was bad, but before she went real bad. Like, I'm thinking this must be after Sheila broke up Lauren and Scott's marriage, but before she did the whole baby switch thing. That's just a guess. I'm not entirely sure, but I doubt Lauren would be agreeing to invite Sheila to dinner after the whole baby switch and, thing and, the torture. Burying her alive and whatnot. Scott was such a goofy guy to be fighting over. Him as the ringmaster, huh? But Paul was cute. I mean, one thing that struck me about Paul in those scenes is that Paul is exactly the same today as he was then. Like, he sounds the same. I'm sure he looks mostly the same. Paul's just this solid guy. And I'm kind of also wondering where the heck is Paul right now? We haven't seen him. I read that Doug Davidson hasn't had any new scripts or anything, so he's just not being utilized right now. They brought him back and then kind of got rid of him again. Where the hell's Paul? Did he run away with Lynn? Did Mary Williams' dream come true and Paul finally stopped hooking up with those hussies, Lauren and Christine, and finally settled down with a nice, boring girl like Lynn Bassett? Is that what happened? Oh, Mary Williams. I forgot how annoying she was until I saw the Masquerade Ball. Oh, yes, it all came flooding back to me. And poor Lynn, always a bridesmaid. That was entertaining. Hey, how about the evening's entertainment? Let me ask you this. On today's Y&R in the year 2020, would they ever give 5 minutes of screen time to 2 people as tone deaf as Catherine and Douglas? Why on earth did they think that was a good idea? Was that charming at the time? I wasn't feeling the charm. It was weird. Douglas just stood there, stone-faced. You say he sang his song not that well, but otherwise just stood there, and Catherine jazzed it up. Catherine should have had a jazz cigarette and a martini in her hand. I mean, Catherine was fun, but why Douglas? Honestly. And then we had Gina. And Gina Romalotti was singing this incredibly sultry song while wearing a fruit basket on her head. I was like, okay, Gina, your performance is amazing, but the 2 bananas on either side of your head are kind of getting in the way and distracting me. Are those bananas on your head, or are you just happy to see me? You're never going to believe it, but the breakout star of the evening for me was Esther. I cannot believe how much I totally enjoyed Esther's performance. She's not the world's greatest singer, but that little burlesque dance number that she did was good. I mean, don't knock it unless you could do better. She had some moves. It was on point. It was funny. It was sexy. It was precise. I was totally charmed by Esther. And I've never been an Esther fan. I think in retrospect, it all boils down to this. I like my fantasy to be close to reality. And Esther in the French maid uniform always came off as farcical and weird to me. It was a costume. I mean, Esther was always wearing a costume. It was a costume ball every freaking day. And so I just couldn't connect with her. But as I've gotten older, I think I've developed more of an appreciation for Esther. I think that she was really giving a comedic performance a lot of the time, and just looking at what she was doing at the Masquerade Ball, it made me think that the whole French maid thing was just like a form of burlesque. Like, at times maybe it was very vaudevillian. I think it was a wink and a nod, and I just don't think I ever got that before. I mean, soaps in a way kind of are their own little vaudeville show, and maybe that's and burlesque is kind of a form of satire on that. And so maybe that's the, what they were always going for, and I just never got it. But I'm getting it now. And you know what else? Miguel was at that ball. Oh yes, Miguel did not get introduced, but Miguel was dressed as the Native American chief, and he was sitting right in the front row of the audience, right underneath the stage, probably getting a really good view right up Esther's skirt. And I said it before last week, I will say it again. I think the next super couple of the year 2020 should be Miguel and Esther. Okay, Allie, cool your jets. Just cool your jets. That was our quote from last week. It just struck me as so odd coming out of Victor Newman's mouth. It's like talking to Victoria. She was like, it was after she had flamed on Adam while they were in the CEO office, and she was just so angry and asking why Victor was letting him get away with this. And Victor said, "Cool your jets." It just sounded like something that Bart Simpson should say, not Victor Newman. And also the irony of Victoria getting completely deseated from the job that means everything to her, and that Victor would have the audacity to just tell her to cool her jets. I don't know, it was a moment for me, but not a lot of you guys guessed it. I suspected as much, but Henry, Coral, Martha, Cherie, and Juanita, you guys all did guess that it was Victor, and it was a hard one, so good job. I think this one may be easy. I don't know. I can never tell. Who said it? The real world sucks. For some reason, that was the line that stuck with me this week. I wonder why. The real world sucks. If you think you know who said it, you can go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, then I will give you your congrats on next week's Y&R Chat. Let's pick up on some of your brilliant comments now. Ellen says, yes, Victoria toiling away in the mailroom with that boy Ryan for a few weeks until they eloped. But to be fair, Victoria does deserve to be the CEO of Newman without interference from any of the Newman men. Would love to see her hang her oil portrait on the wall in that office to show that she is over her daddy issues once and for all. Yeah, Victoria never took the portrait down. Victoria held the position with respect. But this is so interesting because is that what it was? So this is an interesting comment on the week of the Masquerade Ball. Victoria and Ryan had their little secret affair. Is that where she met him? Did she meet that boy in the mailroom? I'd love to know the answer to that. So that does that, and then if they weren't together for very long before they eloped, then does that mean that the masquerade ball was happening right before they eloped? Were Victoria and Orion just about to get married? Yes, I think so. I think so. Let's talk about the Masquerade Ball. Victoria says, I loved seeing this episode. It was amazing to see all of Genoa City at the time in their full costume regalia. I wish that Y&R would treat its viewers to an over-the-top episode each year. Victor's anniversary was nice, but it didn't have the flair of yesterday's episode. Yeah, that episode had flair. We used to even get pretty good Halloween parties, and we don't really have that as much anymore. I think it all boils down to budgets. No, at the end of the day, I just think that soaps don't quite have the budgets that they used to, and I'm sure all of that was so expensive. I do wish that we could get a little more something like that. It's always fun to see everyone in the same room. I mean, you look at that colonnade room set. That set's huge. That set had height. And, I mean, it was grand. And I can't even think of a set that we have that would hold that many people and that much stuff today. Gary says, well, this is absolutely the best masked ball I have ever attended, although I've never been to one. With each new costume better than the last. What a creative assortment of kings, queens, presidential figures, characters from fantasy, novels, ancient Greece, you name it. Mix it in with a few current pop culture types, like Diana Ross. Yes, you know, I have to pause here because, yes, I loved the assortment of costumes because some of them I would never have thought of. Nina was Little Bo Peep. Lord, she was Little Bo Peep. Oh, and by the way, John Silva as the Matador. I forgot to mention him. I liked John Silva. He was cute. I didn't think so at the time. He was always the boring lawyer. But seeing him at the Masquerade Ball on this classic episode, I thought, you know, he's pretty hot. They just didn't play him for sex. I mean, it's hard to have, when you have one of People Magazine's most sexy people of the year, Don Diamond on the show, you know, not everybody else can stack up to that. Not everybody can be the sexiest person of the year. You need your solidly good looking people. And I think John Silva was that. I also I'm sorry, I know I'm obsessing on it, but I think Miguel was good looking. I think they should have used him a little more. His character was dull, though. But yes, the variety of costumes was really pleasing. It wasn't all everybody wanting to be slutty nurse. There were some really lovely costumes, and I think, Gary, you had also separately mentioned the detail on Jack's Prince Charming jacket. It was, yes, these were expensive costumes. They were highly detailed and highly lovely. Gary also says this was a great retro event for chatter shut-ins in this difficult time, and best yet, all of it was for the love of sweet charity. Yeah, charity ball. Nikki should be hosting like a spring charity ball. That would be lovely. Of course, you know, I love, it doesn't need to be costumes. I do love just when everybody gets together and dresses to the nines, but the costumes were really fun. One more note from Gary here saying, given her last two appearances, it's a miracle that Eve Howard is not at this event, dressed head to toe in some completely hidden costume, lurking in the shadows with nefarious purposes. But I guess we had David Kimball for that. It's like the everybody having fun at the ball with somebody lurking in the shadows. That's the formula, isn't it? I wouldn't have made that connection, but we had Eve in the shadows at Victor and Nikki's wedding, and we had David Kimball in the shadows lurking at the ball. Ambrini says, I think this week's poll should be who had the best costume at the ball. Oh my goodness, there were so many attendees. I couldn't possibly list them am all for a poll question, so let's toss it out to you guys. I'm welcome to hear, or you are welcome to tell me your best and dress worst for the costume ball. Everybody, even not everybody got the introduction. There were even quite a few people just hanging around in the background that had some wonderful costumes. Is there anyone I didn't mention that I forgot? Please let me know. And also, absolutely let me know your best and worst for the costume balls. I saw some comments. A lot of people really enjoyed Tracy. A lot of people enjoyed Cricket. I think they both did. I think Tracy looked beautiful, but she wasn't embodying Mae West for me in the way that Christine was really embodying Marilyn. She did a great job. Let's see. Oh, see here. Marianne V says, I missed the classic episode due to the pandemic coverage in New York. I really wanted to see it, but it wasn't on CBS Access. I'll have to look again. See, that's what I wonder if everybody is getting, obviously not getting classic episodes. That's why I hesitate to talk too deeply about these classic episodes, because I don't know if everybody's getting to see them. And I also wonder if everybody's getting the same episode. There's a part of me that wonders, okay, is Canada getting a different one? Or I'm not sure. And the more important point that you make here, Marianne, is I don't even think that they are posting these episodes on CBS. That they certainly, I'm not an all access member, so I don't know if all access members get some favor, they get extra bonus stuffs, but just from the regular old run-of-the-mill CBS.com web server for servers, they did not have this episode posted, and I wonder why. Why? Do they not, are they afraid it's gonna get, people are gonna steal it or something? I don't know. But yes, I'm so sorry if anyone didn't get to see it, and I hope that the recaps don't bother the folks who are missing it. Where else could you look? I wonder if it's on YouTube. I do happen to have a digital copy, to be honest with you, but I'm sure that I'm not supposed to upload it to the website or anything. I don't want to get in trouble. Well, maybe that's something I need to think about, though. If there's a way I could sneakily record the episodes and send them digitally to people. It's a huge file, but I feel bad if anyone, for the people who didn't get to see it. Superplex says, so now that they have the sneak previews for the following weeks, does that mean that the rest of the schedule will be devoted to repeats? I'm so glad you mentioned this, Superplex, because now here's the thing. I got a preview on Wednesday that said, coming up on The Young and the Restless, or something like that. So that was on Wednesday. And when I saw the preview for the upcoming week on Wednesday, I thought, oh, okay, well then I guess we're not going to have Thursday or Friday shows. I guess it's going to be repeats for that. And then, so I was all prepared to have nothing on Thursday, and then I turned on the TV and boom, new episode. So what's up with that? Did that happen to you guys too? Is that maybe like for Canada or something? Because that would have been the last episode that Canada saw, but they don't normally do that, so I don't know. I just don't know. And I don't know what the schedule is moving forward either. Once again, how many more new episodes do we have? Because it ain't enough. We need to move to 3 new, 2 classic soon. Well, about those previews, Kamna says they always give us false alarms in the previews. So I'm really hoping that Theo chose not to look at the document, or that he looked at it but he wasn't going to use it. He can't be that easily fired. Or could he be headed to Chancellor Media? Ooh. See, I hadn't thought about that, Kamna. I just assumed that Theo was naughty. And then he did look at the document, and then Kyle was firing him for it. But you do make a good point that they use those previews to fake us out. So it's possible. But it's also possible that maybe he does get fired, and maybe he does go to a competing company. Maybe he would go to Chancellor Media. Or what if he went to Newman Enterprises? What if Theo teamed up with Adam? Adam has no employees working at the company, and boy, wouldn't they make an unholy alliance. Daisy says, it's odd. I'm starting to feel bad for Theo. Mariah and Tessa were a bit over-the-top nasty to him. They're not perfect, I wish, though, that we'd find out that Theo's issue with Kyle... Oh, sorry. I wish, though, we would find out what Theo's issue with Kyle is. It makes no sense that he's so focused on him. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned Mariah and Tessa specifically, Daisy, because, yeah, they did lay in on him pretty hard, and I did feel bad about it. But then I thought to myself, I mean, Theo, he's given as good as he's got. It's just that he's so down right now, and then that makes you want to feel bad for him. I think Y&R is wanting to make Theo look like the underdog. I think they're going out of their way to do that. I think we're supposed to be having the feels for Theo right now, and it definitely wasn't nice the way Mariah and Tessa were jumping on him. Also about Mariah and Tessa, but here's a good comment from Sharon saying, I don't think that Lola, and most definitely not Theo, is aware that Mariah's betrayal was in the form of cheating. Because for me, Mariah was a jerk to Theo, and I found her to be too arrogant in her speech to him about not knowing about love, and then him not coming back with his normal snark to her. Also, with that being said, I noticed the look that Tessa gave to her when she said that to him. I have a feeling that Tessa is not as understanding about the cheating as she claims to be. Yes, Sherrod, I do think that the nature of everything that was going on with Mariah and Tessa is still a secret that's being kept. I don't think that's public knowledge that that Mariah cheated and they broke up for a while. Hey! Also, I mean, I just about dropped my jaw when Y&R even mentioned Lindsay. I totally, I forgot about Lindsay. And I was surprised that they brought it back up. Because Lindsay just went away. I assumed something more from her, but she just went away. And that doesn't make any sense. Why not keep Lindsay around, at least for another episode, at least for 1 or 2 more run-ins? Let the awkwardness be there. Show that Mariah and Tessa have truly overcome the cheating, not just Tessa saying, oh yeah, I'm over it. No, it would be way more realistic to keep Lindsay in the picture rather than just saying, oh, isn't it great that she just happened to go back to bartending at the Matchbox as soon as we got back together? I mean, in terms of realism, the other person doesn't just go away in real life. You have to deal with the consequences. And while I'm glad that Mariah and Tessa are back together, I mean, I feel like we're also just kind of skating over it, like Sherrod said. It was just like, okay, well, Tessa's just saying, okay, I'm over it. I'm no problem at all. Well, really? Because either that's not realistic or, as Sherrod says, maybe there is something more going on with Tessa under the surface, and she's not as cool and calm as she says. Although I love the jacket she was wearing. I love the little brooch. Oh, I love a brooch, and I have none of them. I need to get brooches. She had on the dark jacket, and it seemed like it was like a garnet, like a deep red brooch on her jacket. And I liked the back and forth that Mariah and Tessa had with each other. I mean, I didn't like that they were being mean to Theo, but I do like the chemistry between the girls. Let's jump on over to talking about last week's poll question about Jack and Jill. Anne Breen voted no way to a Jack and Jill romance, saying Jill was married to Jack's father. So I think it would just be gross. I hate when soaps do that. With brothers, it's not as bad, but when you have a romantic relationship with the father and son, ew. Some examples include Hillary, Neil, and Devon, Sharon, Nick, Adam, and Victor, Gloria, John, and Jack. And if Jack and Jill didn't have that connection, I'd say go for it, because the show needs to show relationships between older couples, too. Oh, yes, Anne Breen, I love that you mentioned these other the icky kind of triangles. It's very true. It is an icky thing, and that's exactly why there was so much buzz about Jack and Jill showing up at that Masquerade Ball together, because that affair must had just have happened at least months, maybe a year prior. I'm guessing. You let me know. But that was definitely a little bit of a how dare. How dare they show up at that ball together, given what they did to John. And now John has moved on with that lovely Leanna Love. Of all the people that John Abbott could have picked, why Leanna Love? Did he have good taste? Maybe he had bad taste in women. Let's be honest. Calmness says, I'm actually all for Jack and Jill. Ever since the crossword scene at Society, I would love to see Y&R show a positive boomer relationship that's really based on more on mutual respect, friendship, companionship, along with some sparks. Plus the reactions of Billy, Chance, Abby, Ashley, Tracy. That would make for some really fun scenes. Oh, yeah. See, yes, I agree. I know some mature relationships on the show would be nice. Absolutely. And I hadn't even thought about that. All of the reactions to people, of people realizing that Jack and Jill would be together. That might be worth the price of getting over the ickiness. The reactions of others. Ooh, I don't know, boy. TB84 says, I like them as they are, friends. But I would like to see Jill find a man like Jack. Nice, caring, not a thief. But if it's going to be Jack, I won't mind it at all. I love them both. So, of course, I voted yes out of these two choices. Yeah, I don't know. I still feel torn. And again, I think this is a sign of a good poll question and a good dynamic, the fact that the viewers are torn over it. Superplex is not torn. Superplex says it's a horrible idea. Jill is like vinegar mixed with caustic soda. It's time to bring back Gloria. She's much more compatible with Jack. Well, now, I agree with you there. I do think Gloria makes a better match for Jack than Jill would. Because Jack is a little... The play between them is so good. Gloria is so floofy and fluffy and flighty and fun. And Jack tends to be a little more serious these days. So I like that Gloria drew out some floof and some fluff from Jack. Well, now, you think Jill is like vinegar mixed with caustic soda. Oh, my. I mean, maybe these days. Is it the voice? Is it because her voice sounds like she's smoked 1,000 packs of cigarettes a day? That might be it. But I mean, I don't have that visceral of a reaction to Jack and Jill being together. I like Jill. I like Jack. But to be honest with you, I voted no. I don't even know why. It was just sort of where I was leaning. I just thought, meh. I love them both, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to see him smooching it up. We'll see where Y&R's going with it. I don't know if they're going to pick it up and run with it anymore at all. Well, we talked about last week's poll. Let's talk about this week's poll. Laura gives us a preview saying, Nate and Amanda are now an item. This means that Devon will suddenly realize that it's Amanda he's in love with, and Elena will discover that her heart aches for Nate. They'll switch partners. Yeah, see, that's why I'm wondering what the Y&R chatters want for Amanda. Billy or Nate or Devon. I wonder if you're right. I wonder if the partner switch is going to happen sooner than we think. I mean, I think they've played it so that it could go either way. I mean, you're right. Elena could definitely realize that she loves Nate. I think maybe they might put a little bit of time on it. But I mean, gee, now that we're not even getting any new episodes, I'm not sure when on earth we might see those couples switch up. But it's going to happen eventually. I think I just want it to stay the same for a little bit. This writing team switches up the couples so fast. I want a little more time on Amanda and Nate. They just had their first date this week. Diana says, oh, this is good, Diana. Phyllis called Adam larvae to Chelsea, but she definitely didn't think so. When he first arrived in Genoa City, he couldn't get rid of her. She only seemed to change her mind about him after he didn't show any interest in her and let her know that he wanted Chelsea. Phyllis is supposedly so offended that Adam asked her to seduce Nick when you know she wanted to. Dang, that's a good comment, Diana, and I can't argue. I can't argue. Maybe all of Phyllis's feelings of negativity toward Adam is because she felt rejected by him secretly. I buy that. I buy that. Diana also says, wow, Victor still goes horseback riding at 79 years of age. That's awesome. I liked that Y&R had Victor say he wanted to go riding. It reminds me that they lived on a ranch and they have that luxury at their disposal whenever they want. I'm reminded that we're in a ranch every time we're in that seating room because it's so horsey. But yes, horseback riding at 79 years old. I don't think I've ever been horseback riding unless like I did it in Girl Scouts or something. But it's, I believe, more physical than you think it would be. I mean, it probably takes a lot of upper body. Yeah, it takes a whole body strength to be horseback riding. But Eric Braeden seems like he's in good shape for his age, so I totally buy it. I like to imagine it. Oh, here's a good comment from Daisy saying, now that Nikki understands why Victor doesn't want the truth to get out, makes me think that it was Hope that pushed AJ off the barn. I don't think Adam pushed AJ because I can't imagine Nikki would want to protect him, especially when her daughter was hurt by his actions. So maybe Victor told Nikki that Hope and AJ had been arguing and he accidentally fell, or she pushed him because she was tired of his threats. And after realizing that AJ was dead, Hope called Victor for help. I can see Victor wanting to protect Hope then, and her memory now. And if this did happen, I can't imagine that Hope would want to hide the truth, not just for Victor's sake, but because she'd be upset about who Adam has become, knowing he had such promise. So for Hope, I think she'd want the truth of her part in AJ's death to come out, giving Adam as much of a needed wake-up call, and hopefully start a better life, or just a reason to slink away. Oh, I think Adam's going to have a reason to slink away at the end of this. But so if at the end of the day, the grand mystery is Hope pushed AJ, then why was Nikki's reaction like that? I didn't think you were going to say that. I mean, if the way that they laid that out with Nikki's reaction, this needs to be a bombshell. This needs to make me go, huh? And Hope doing it doesn't make me go, huh? Although I agree that your explanation is probably the most reasonable and rational and version that would make the most sense. I guess I'm just looking for more of a bombshell here, but that doesn't mean I'm going to get it. Ellen says, and this is a good point, Ellen, why wouldn't Victor just tell Adam the truth if it was all a terrible accident? Is this just so that Victor can be a big hero at the end and Adam can look even worse for blackmailing him? Now, this is a good point because let's say that Victor was protecting Hope for one reason or another. Let's go with Daisy's theory that that Victor was protecting Hope because Hope killed him or whatever. Why wouldn't Victor just tell Adam what happened? Why wouldn't Victor just tell Adam the truth? Forget the audience. Victor telling Adam that he did what he did to protect Adam's mother would make Victor look like a hero to Adam. And wouldn't that be what Victor's ego would want? Okay, my friends. I hope that you all had a ball this week watching Y&R. And that you go to yrchat.com to leave me your comments about it. Vote in the poll. Let me know your best and worst dress for the Masquerade Ball or anything else you want to see. And I will be back here next week to tell you what I think about what I was able to see. I hope it's 3 episodes for the sake of being conservative. But if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or none, I will be back here and we'll chat about something. Something Y&R related. Okay, everybody. I love ya. Take care. Bye.